Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, we're diving deep into the world of Claude Monet,
Ooh, excellent choice.
using the amazing resources from Google Arts and Culture.
Oh, I love that site. It's a treasure trove.
Yeah, and get this. We're going beyond those famous water lilies. You know, we all know those water lilies, but there's so much more to this guy. He's like the godfather of modern art, practically invented it.
Yeah, I mean, he's so much more than just water lilies.
Right, exactly. And even if you think you know Monet, you're going to learn some really cool stuff today, I promise.
Yeah, there's always something new to uncover.
All right, so let's start with the basics. Monet is a founding father of Impressionism. Can you give us a little refresher on what made this movement so revolutionary?
Well, just imagine like the Paris art scene back in the mid-1800s. You've got the Académie des Beaux-Arts.
Oh, yeah, the bigwigs.
Yeah, exactly. With their official salon exhibition, they basically decided what was good art.
Right, super stuffy.
Totally. Anything outside the box, forget about it. And then you've got this group of young artists, Monet included, who are like, nah, we're not playing by your rules. They wanted to capture fleeting moments, paint outdoors.
Whoa, wait, painting outdoors. That was like a rebel move back then.
Oh, absolutely. Totally unheard of. Most artists would just like sketch outdoors, but then scurry back to their studios to actually paint. But this new generation, they took their canvases, their paints, everything right out into nature. It's called plein air painting.
Plein air, so that literally means painting in the open air.
Exactly. And this whole shift to painting directly from nature was crucial for Impressionism. It was all about capturing light and atmosphere, the way things really look.
Okay, yeah, because sunlight changes all the time, right? It changes the colors, the shadows, everything.
Exactly.
Right.
And the Impressionists, they wanted to capture these like fleeting sensory experiences, those impressions, in their paintings.
I see. So plein air wasn't just a style choice. It was like the whole point of Impressionism. Like their paintings became these snapshots in time.
Exactly. And it was actually Monet's painting, Impression Soleil Levant, which means Impression Sunrise, that gave the whole movement its name.
Oh, wow. One painting kicked off a whole art revolution. But you mentioned that these artists, they got rejected by the salon.
Oh, yeah.
What happened when they had their own exhibition? Was it a total flop?
Well, let's just say it caused a stir. Critics were all over the place. Some hated it, some thought it was exciting and new, but the public, they were intrigued. The Salon des Refusés, which means Salon of the Rejected, became a sensation. Huge crowds, lots of buzz. The official salon was probably fuming.
That's awesome. Turning rejection into a triumph. That's the best.
You gotta love it.
Okay, so we've got Claude Monet right at the heart of this art world earthquake. What shaped this rebellious spirit of his? Where did it all begin?
Well, his childhood gives us some clues. He grew up in Le Havre. It's a port city in Normandy, France. The sea, the ever-changing sky, that was his playground.
I can picture it.
Yeah.
So picturesque.
Oh, totally. He loved sketching, especially outdoors. And his mom, Louise Justine, was super supportive of his artistic side.
Every young artist needs a cheerleader like that.
For sure. Sadly, his dad wasn't as thrilled. He wanted Claude to join the family grocery business.
The classic parental struggle. Art versus practicality.
Right. But Monet's passion, it couldn't be contained. And then, tragically, when he was 16, his mother passed away.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
It was. He ended up going to live with his aunt, Marie-Jeanne Lecadre.
That's good that he had family there to support his art. So it seems like those early years in Le Havre, the sea, the sky, the support from his mom and his aunt, they really instilled in him this deep connection to nature. And that's, of course, what we see in his paintings.
Absolutely. Even with the family drama, the loss of his mother, his passion for art, for capturing nature, just kept growing.
And that brings us to the Monet we think we know, the master of water lilies and dreamy gardens. But I have a feeling there's more to this story.
Oh, way more. Get ready to go beyond those iconic water lilies. We're about to explore a side of Monet that might surprise you.
Ooh, okay, lead the way.
So yeah, let's shake things up a bit. Monet, he wasn't just the water lily guy. He was constantly painting, experimenting, evolving, almost like he was obsessed with capturing beauty, but like the fleeting kind.
Obsessed. Okay, I like where this is going. Tell me more about this side of Monet, the one beyond the peaceful water scenes.
All right, so think about his series paintings. He picked something like haystacks, a cathedral, even those houses of parliament in London, and he'd paint it again and again, different times of day, different weather, you name it.
Wait, so he painted the same thing, like over and over. Sounds a bit obsessive. What was the point of that?
That's the cool part. It wasn't about making copies. It was about light, about atmosphere, how they changed the whole scene. Colors looked different depending on the time, the season, even if it was raining or sunny. He wanted to capture the essence of a place through all these little changes, these impressions, you could say.
So it wasn't really about the haystack or the building itself. It was more about the feeling, the experience of that exact moment.
You got it. Like, take his Rouen Cathedral series, for example. He painted the front of this massive Gothic cathedral over 30 times. Each one shows how the light changed throughout the day, from those cool, almost blue colors at dawn to the warm, golden light of sunset.
So he was just sitting there for weeks, maybe months, just watching and painting the same cathedral wall.
He even rented rooms across the street just to get different angles. This series is incredible because it pushes the boundaries of what a painting can be. It's not about a perfect picture of the cathedral, it's about how the light and colors made him feel, almost like a visual diary.
That's wild. It's like those paintings are time lapses of light. You can see how one place can totally change depending on what's happening around it.
And this connects to a bigger story in art history. By focusing on these fleeting impressions, these subjective experiences, Monet was moving away from that old school, realistic style of art. He was heading towards something more abstract, more about feelings and perceptions than just copying what you see.
So those haystacks and cathedrals, they weren't just pretty pictures. They were revolutionary. They changed how people thought about art.
Exactly. And that's what makes exploring art history so much fun. It's not just about admiring pretty things, it's about understanding how ideas evolved, how artists pushed the limits and made us see the world in new ways.
Okay, so we've got the series paintings, all about light and atmosphere. But what about other subjects? Did Monet paint anything besides haystacks and cathedrals?
Oh, tons. Remember, he was obsessed with capturing beauty, and for him, that beauty was everywhere. Bustling cities, peaceful gardens, the rugged cliffs of Normandy, even the Thames River in London.
He had a pretty wide range of interests then.
Yeah, he did. And each subject had its own challenges and possibilities. Like, his paintings of the Thames are really interesting because they show how he was fascinated by industrial landscapes, something that most artists back then thought was, ugly and not worth painting.
London. What drew him to that city?
Well, London in the late 1800s was changing rapidly because of the Industrial Revolution. Monet loved the city's energy, its grandeur, but also its grittiness. He painted the bridges, the factories, those tall smokestacks, even the fog that often covered the city, giving it a kind of mysterious, almost dreamy feel.
So he wasn't afraid to paint the real world, even the parts that weren't so glamorous.
Exactly. And what's amazing is how he finds beauty, even in those industrial scenes. His brushstrokes, his use of color, he turns smoke and fog into something almost magical.
It's like he's showing us that beauty can be found anywhere if you just open your eyes and really look.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And speaking of finding beauty in unexpected places, we can't forget about Monet's fascination with the coast. He spent a lot of time in these small towns in Normandy, places like Étretat and Pourville. He loved painting the dramatic cliffs, the crashing waves, the constantly changing sky.
Those paintings must be so different from his peaceful garden scenes.
Oh, they're a world apart. With the coastal paintings, you can practically feel the wind, the salty spray, the colors are bolder, the brushstrokes are more energetic. They have this power, this energy that you don't see in his garden paintings.
It's incredible how he could adapt his style to capture such different places. He really was a master of mood and atmosphere.
And remember, this was all happening in the late 1800s, long before cameras and movies. In a way, Monet was showing people a new way to see and experience the world, a way that hinted at the visual language of the 20th century.
It makes you wonder, what would he think of our world today with all the images and videos we're bombarded with? Would he be overwhelmed or inspired?
That's a great question. But one thing's for sure, his work still inspires us to look at the world with fresh eyes, to find beauty in everyday things, and to appreciate those fleeting moments of wonder.
So well said. Before we continue, let's give our listeners a moment to absorb all this amazing information about Monet's diverse and captivating body of work. It's pretty amazing when you think about it, Monet's dedication, spending hours, days, even months observing, painting the same thing, just to catch those tiny changes in light and color. What do you think drove him to go to such lengths? Like, what was he really trying to achieve?
That's a great question. I think it kind of gets to the core of what makes Monet so special.
Yeah.
He wasn't just copying what he saw. He was trying to capture the whole experience, the feeling of being right there in that moment, surrounded by the light, the colors, the atmosphere.
So it's not just about, making a perfect copy of reality. It's more about expressing a personal response to it, right?
Exactly. I mean, Monet himself said, I perhaps owe having become a painter to flowers. His art was deeply personal. It came from this profound connection to nature, a sense of wonder and awe that he was trying to, I don't know, translate onto the canvas.
But like nature wasn't just his subject matter, it was his inspiration, his muse
Oh, yeah,
almost.
absolutely. And I think that connection to nature, that desire to really immerse yourself in those sensory experiences of light and color, it's something that still resonates with people today.
Especially now, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in a world that's so dominated by technology, by screens, Monet's paintings, they offer this kind of escape.
Yeah.
They remind us of the beauty and the peacefulness of nature.
It's like stepping into a different time. Things move slower. You can almost feel the breeze in those water lily paintings or smell the salty air on the Normandy coast.
Right, exactly. And that's something I think we all need a bit of, that mindfulness, that ability to just appreciate the beauty of the moment. It's a lesson that's just as relevant now as it was back then.
You know, it's funny you mention mindfulness. When I look at Monet's paintings, I often feel this sense of calm, like a stillness that just washes over me. It's almost like he's inviting us to slow down, to just breathe, to simply observe and appreciate the beauty around us.
I think you've hit on something really important. Monet's paintings, they're not just pretty to look at, they're invitations to think, to contemplate. They encourage us to pause, to notice the little things we might miss otherwise, to see the world with new eyes, so to speak.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of Claude Monet, what would you say are the key takeaways for our listeners? What can we learn from his life and his art?
Well, I think one of the biggest lessons is the power of observation. Monet taught us to really look, to see the subtle nuances of light, color, and form, to find beauty in the everyday. He showed us that art isn't always about grand gestures. It can be about paying attention to those small, fleeting moments that make up our lives.
It's about slowing down, unplugging from the distractions, and really seeing what's right there in front of us.
Exactly. And it's also about being willing to experiment, to push boundaries, to challenge the rules. Monet was a true innovator, always trying to capture the world in new ways. He never stopped exploring, never stopped learning. And that's a spirit we can all embrace, whether we're artists, entrepreneurs, or just trying to live more creative lives.
And it's clear that his legacy continues to inspire us today. His paintings are more than just images. They're a reflection of his passion, his dedication, his deep love for nature.
Beautifully said. And remember, this is just a glimpse into the incredible world of Claude Monet. There's so much more out there to explore, so many stories waiting to be discovered.
And that's what I love about platforms like Google Arts and Culture. They give us access to so much information, allowing us to delve deeper into the lives and works of these incredible artists, to see the connections, and to keep that spark of creativity alive. So keep exploring, keep learning, and most importantly, keep looking at the world with a sense of wonder. You never know what you'll find.